This introduction to the PHP language extensions library. And this library adds new language features to PHP using static analysis. And we can see some of the new features that it adds. And one of them is called friends. So let's just go through an example of what this is and where you might use it. So for example, I was working on some code and we had some code that would send a text message, and that would be done via a text message sender. So initially, the code would just call the send message method on the text message sender class. But relatively, sending a text message is quite slow. Behind the scenes, there's HTTP requests, maybe that will go wrong. And we didn't really want our normal code to be directly calling the text message send message method. So we do what would be pretty common in cases like this. We have a text message gateway class, which has got a send message method. That would pop an item onto the queue, and then we would have a queue processor which would take items from the queue and use the text message sender to send the message. This is pretty standard stuff. So if we think about our text message sender class, we want something where it's okay to call it if we're calling any methods from the text message queue processor. But if we try and call text message sender from any other part of the code base, we don't want that to be allowed. And if we think about the visibility modifiers that PHP provides us, we've got public, protected, and private. And none of those are really suitable for this application. Now in other languages, for example C++, we have a concept of friend, and if that was implemented in PHP, maybe the code would look like this. And what that is saying is that text message sender has a friend, which is text message queue processor, and it is only text message sender's friends that can call methods on text message sender. So if this code existed in PHP, this would mean we can only call send message from the text message queue processor class. And actually there was an attempt to add this to the language. There was an RFC quite a while back, but that got rejected. But we don't need to modify the language. What we could do is use static analysis. So ordinarily we would write our code, and sometime before that code was deployed, ideally with every build or even just as you're working away on your code, we would use static analysis tools, maybe tools like SAM or PHP Stan. And what we can do for both of those is we can create custom rules for SAM, for PHP Stan, and these custom rules could emulate new language features. So we wouldn't be relying on the language, we would be relying on static analysis to point out potential bugs. So if we go back to our text message sender class, how would we say in this case it is only the text message queue processor that is allowed to interact with methods on this class? Probably the easiest way to do it is to use an attribute. So we could create a friend attribute and we would pass in what the classes that are the friends of text message sender. And by adding this in, this will be used by static analysis to tell us if we are making any violations. So instead of using the language, we can use static analysis. And if you think about it like this, we've got quite powerful tools. So we can use custom static analysis rules along with attributes, and we can create new language features. And that is what I've done with the PHP language extensions library. So currently there's two libraries in GitHub. The first is the PHP language extensions library, and that just provides definitions for each of the attributes. We've got 8 attributes currently, and they all represent some kind of new language feature. And I've also developed an extension for PHP Stan, which you can see here. So what you would do is if you're using PHP Stan, you would add in this extension and it will do all the validation required to make sure we're not violating any of the any of the things given by the new language features, by the PHP language extensions. So have a look at that. I'm going to do some more videos where we go into each of these attributes in more detail. But this is kind of the overall idea of what is behind the PHP language extensions library. So give it a go, and if you've got any questions, drop them in the comments.